Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Ask Mevo Anything. My name is Joseph Pisani, and I am a technical specialist here with Mevo. And today is all about asking questions and answering your questions live on the show, Ask Mevo Anything. So if this is your first time joining us, we do live shows Tuesdays and Thursdays. And those shows are at 2 p.m. Eastern. On Tuesdays, we do Ask Mevo Anything, where we chat with our users, ask questions live on the show, and anything you need to know, any troubleshooting steps you want to get into, or any type of feature things you need to know, please post them in our comments. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch at Mevo Camera. So again, that's Ask Mevo Anything on Tuesdays. Thursdays, we do Mevo Live. And if you haven't seen our Mevo Live show yet, we do a lot of fun stuff on Thursdays. So actually, next Thursday, we have the Mevo Live giveaway, and that's the Mevo Start giveaway. And the way you enter that is just by participating in our shows, and we do random drawings from our live shows, and our most users that are most participate and comment and ask us questions and really help drive our shows go forward. We want to reward you guys, so we're doing a drawing, and the drawing is random, and you can win a Mevo Start. So this happens bi-weekly. And you can absolutely win more than one, but it's not back-to-back. So we do this twice a month. You can't win twice in the same month. All right. So it looks like we have the chat is rolling, people coming in. Thanks for joining me, everyone. So let's talk a little bit about today's setup. So I am actually running the Mevo Multicam app. And as you can see here, I got some different angles I can play with. So let's go to me here. And I should be over here now. And then I also have, let's get rid of this graphic for a second. I see like the insides of how the app works as far as moving around multicam. All right, great. So I'm going to jump into chat real quick and see how things are going. Fred the Hippo saying, good afternoon, everyone. So perfect example, Fred the Hippo actually won a Mevo Start from our drawing. On the last giveaway. So hey, how are you, Fred? Thanks to see you back. Well, we have people from all over the world. I would love to hear where you're from. And Jai says hello. Hi, Jai. Dave says hi. John, hi from South Africa. How you doing, John? Nice to see you. He's on our Twitch channel at Mevo Camera. People saying hi to Fred. Fred's the man. Okay. First question coming in. Will the Mevo record to SD card in my Android device, or is there something I need to do first? Well, there's a couple of things. It depends on what you want to do. So this is from John from Twitch. And his question is, will the Mevo record to the SD card on my Android device, or is there something I need to do first? Well, once you put your memory card into the device, yes, you will record to the SD card. The way you do that is if you're using the Mevo 2.0 application, when you hit the red circle to go live or to record, there's an option to select your SD card. Once you select your SD card there, you can record directly to the SD, whatever you want to shoot. On the Multicam app, works slightly differently. The overall edit, so the recording that has all the switching of the cameras moving around, that will get stored on the Android device. You can also record the individual angles on each individual camera. So what you want to do there is you want to put the SD card in each camera, and then you can record each individual angle. So if you want to edit this later or put together, a post edit or anything like that, or fix something maybe that went wrong, you can absolutely do that as well. So you have a couple of different options as far as recording with the SD cards. All right, cool. Norman on Facebook is saying, are there any? Yes, there is. The way to do this, I would suggest, would be to set your preset static shots first, and then let the Mevo app do the panning and zooming for you when you select them. So what I mean by that is, I wish I could show you on the, maybe I can. Let's give me 1 second here while I try and pull up another camera that's not being used. And I believe it's this one. No, but I can't have them both open at the same time. Okay. All right, can't really show you on this right now, but what we want to do is when you set your static shots, so what you do is you do a long press on the preview to where you want it to go. Once those are set, when you tap them, the scene will move itself and it'll zoom and pan for you. So if it's panning and zooming for you, it's smooth as butter. When you're trying to do it and dragging your finger, I mean, what you're doing there is you have your, I guess, the characteristics of the touchscreen of the device that you're using are in play when you're doing dragging your finger around. But if you just do tap and set the shots initially, you know, it does, the zooming and the panning will be way smoother. Okay, cool. All right. Gordon says, in the past 2 weeks, I've been unable to stream to Twitter or Periscope. I get an error. Is this an app error? Yes. Gordon, thanks for bringing this up. This is a known error with Twitter. As you guys know, there's a lot of stuff going on with social media companies now. So it's just a bug that we're working on. We are aware of it. We are working on it. I don't have a fix date for you, but once the fix comes, it'll most likely be part of an overall update. So double check and make sure you're always up to date. And actually, speaking of updates, it's a good time to talk about what we've done with the latest updates. So if you have a Mevo Start and you're using the Mevo app, you have updated to 2.7 most likely. So I just want to kind of give you guys an idea of what that actually is and what you got out of that update. So just give me 1 second. And there we go. So what you got in the 2.7 update was the first thing you're going to notice is the refreshed look. So as many of you know, we are part of Logitech now. So the rebranding is happening, and the Mevo will be rebranded as the Logi Mevo. So you'll see that reflected on our website, and you'll see that reflected on the app now. So if you recently purchased a Mevo, don't worry, that's fine. If it still says Mevo on it, it's absolutely fine. There is no difference between the Mevo Start and the Logi brand. It's just a rebranding. So I know if you just ordered one and then all of a sudden you're seeing Logi everywhere, don't worry about that. Part of the update was that whole revamping the look of the app, of course. We also have updates including NDI 5, and there was also a fix with NDI for HEVC. So if you had any issues connecting to different sources using HEVC, that should be fixed now. And there was also a couple of bug fixes with Rtmp. So if you did run into things like with Facebook or anything like that you were getting Rtmp bug errors, those have been fixed. In the Multicam app, we have the refreshed look, of course, which is the Logi brand. And then we also added just some bug fixes for stability and improvement as far as just the connectivity. So nothing huge on that aspect of it. So hopefully that covers what we've been doing with the updates. Cool. Oh. My computer is not closing the chat. There we go. All right. So let's go back into the chat and let's see what else we got. Thank you for that question. Finally, what's expected audio from a mixer to my speaker? It worked, but why? Shouldn't I use an XLR to the speaker? So Fred the Hippo has an interesting audio question, so let's take a look and let's break it down for him. He's saying he uses an XLR speaker output to get audio from my mixer to my speaker. It works, but why? Shouldn't it need an XLR input to the speaker? Fred, I'd have to see what you're using. If you could take some pictures of that, of like, you know, the exact model and make of what you're using there, I can definitely take a closer look and see what's going on with your inputs. But yeah, send us that. Cool. Leo says hello again from Northeast Indiana. Hello, Leo. Nice to hear from you. Okay. Serenity Media says, any way to add auto connect / reconnect feature for lost streams during events? He or she says hi from the UK. So yeah, so Serenity, there is a backup feature. So what happens is if the Mevo does lose connection, the SD card will continue to record for 30 seconds while it looks for another connection. After that time, if the connection doesn't reestablish itself, the connection breaks. Now, the reason for that is if you just let the recording go, there will be a lot of instances of people just stopping their streams, not remembering to stop the recording, and then all of a sudden their SD card is maxed out and your Mevo's been running and the battery dies out. So that's why those two are linked together. Unfortunately, there's no other way around that. If you're using it for, if you're using it for outdoor sports or if you're using it in outdoor, I mean, you really just gotta check your speeds constantly and make sure that you have a good LTE connection just to avoid that. Maybe incorporate a router. There's a couple of different ways. We have some videos on our YouTube page that Will did that shows you how, when you're out and about, how to incorporate a router to kind of get stronger signal and connection between the devices. So there's not as many hiccups, but that would be all I can say about that. Ben is from Colorado. Hey, listening from Colorado. What's up, Ben? How are you doing? All right. Jack says, is there a way we can have the option to make scenes similar to OBS where we can have camera, graphic, etc. all in one preset? Jack from YouTube, I think that's a great idea. That's definitely something we have talked about. It's just a matter of, creating it, really. That'd be, we have to create those sources and that code out of nowhere. So it's definitely something that is on the list of things, especially one of my requests, because I agree with you. It would be nice to have graphics associated with whatever camera angle you're using. So thank you for that suggestion. John says, and to answer your question, no, there's not one right now, but it's a great suggestion. John says, thanks for the details on 2.0 versus multicam. Absolutely. And if you give me 1 second, because my whole screen is being taken up by this chat right now, and I can't see my notes. There we go. All right. Cool. And I'm getting some notifications. If I'm getting any type of weird crunchy or tearing, that might have been when I was messing around with the 2.0 app. Let me know if you guys see that on the stream. And I'll see if I can adjust for it. All right. And now I have to reset my chat. Okay, Fred the Hippo says, how can I set up PoE? Well, Fred, we actually have a great article in the help section, so help.mevo.com. If you just type in third party or PoE, it should be the first article that pops up. Joe does a video on it, on how to set it up, and so that's always there for you. Norman says, thanks. Yeah, definitely, Norman, no problem. How do I calibrate the battery? Jose, this is a great question, and this is something that can happen too. So if you notice that you're fully charging your Mevo, and you've been charging it overnight, you've charged for a couple hours, and it's not getting to 100%, maybe it's just stuck at like 60% or 70%, it doesn't seem like it's going all the way, here's how you recalibrate. You want to drain that down to 0, charge it as full as it can go, which really should be no more than 2 hours. If you're using a a charging brick, a charging brick. If you're charging through USB through your computer, it's going to be slower. That'll take longer. See where it goes to. If it doesn't get to 100%, drain it down to 0. You're going to want to do this 2 or 3 more times, and then eventually, once the battery recalibrates, and at 100%, it'll read 100%. Now, if you are having calibration issues, and you've charged it, it's probably 100%. It's just not reading it correctly. So even though it says 70, it's likely 100%, or 70 or 60, whatever the example is. Thanks for that question, Jose. All right. Clark is saying hello from Pennington, New Jersey. Hello, Clark. Thanks for joining us today. Norman says, congratulations. Love that you are with Logitech now. Love their brand. Yeah, I agree. I was pretty excited when everything happens. It's great to be part of the Logitech ecosystem. We're already incorporating Logitech stuff with Mevo stuff. As you can see, I have the blue microphone here. I have the Yetis over here too, and I use those as well. I've never had an issue with a Logitech product in my life. I can't imagine not having keyboards and mice that are not Logitech. So yeah, we're pretty happy about it. All right. Fred the Hippo says, what is the difference between HEVC and NDI? And I'm going to guess that Fred knows the answer to this, and he's just trying to get some questions in. I'm on to you, Fred. But I'll tell you anyway. So NDI, it's not the difference between NDI and HEVC. It's just a different compression ratio. So, for example, if you're doing NDI at 15 megabytes per second at 1080p, you can do HEVC at 7.5 megabytes per second at 1080p. So essentially, it's half the bandwidth and half the size file, but you're still getting full resolution. So if you can use HEVC, I recommend it, especially if your components and everything is working well together and can handle or is modified for that. Just because you're using less strain on the entire process. So that's what that is. All right, Jason Hoffman's coming in. Friday Night Football ran Ethernet from the iPad to Mevo at the 50-yard line. Cool. Use the access point to connect 2 more Mevo each at the 30-yard line. Sweet. So you got 20 yards between them. No obstacles. Was this too far? Were you losing connection? Possibly. I mean, 20 yards is pretty far. The Mevo really should be within 100 feet of the access point. So 20 yards, that's 60 feet. No. Yeah, 20, 40, 60. Yeah, so that's 60 feet. It depends on the strength. So Jason, on that one, I mean, what was your internet strength coming into it? you know, did you have good signal where you're only working with like a 7 or 8 megabyte upload speed or something like that? That could definitely affect it. Leo says, my iPad doesn't have a data plan. Can I use my cell phone to supply the hotspot data but control the cam on the iPad? Larger screen is easier to use. Absolutely. So the way you would set this up, Leo, would be to just use your cell phone as a hotspot and then connect to it as you normally would a Wi-Fi signal. So as far as the iPad and the Mevo are concerned, they're just seeing a Wi-Fi signal and that's coming out of your phone. So you can absolutely do that. But again, make sure you have the speed sufficient when you want to use it that way. We recommend 10 megabytes per second upload speed as a minimum, just to get solid connection to 1080p streams. So I want to make sure we talk about that. All right, let me just do this real quick too. And I'm gonna bring you over here. Cool. Okay. Great. Okay, church setting. All right, David's coming in. He's saying he uses his Mevos in a church setting, and they're getting sound from the camera microphones, and it's great quality with no lag time. So great to hear. I guess your setup's working well. Awesome to hear it. All right. Oh, he's actually another question. Is there a setup that would send the output from the headphone jack of our board wirelessly to the iPad and multicam? Okay. So what David is asking is if he can send signal using the output from his mixing board, which would normally come through the 3.5 input into the Mevo. But I guess because of positioning, most likely, you want to send that to your iPad. So the way I would do this is I would use a separate device, not the iPad running the Multicam app. I would use a separate device, like another cell phone or something that can take in and a 3.5 millimeter input. And then I would use the remote mic app, because this way you can send signal wirelessly. You can pick it up from the device. It frees up having to use the iPad device audio or have that connected to anything. So you can just, you can control everything with the iPad separately, and then you'll have a separate mic input as well. So the way we can do that, I could show you, is, for example, I actually have that set up. So I have the remote mic app set up on my phone right now. And let me go to it. Okay, and this is a Galaxy S9 Plus. So this is actually going to the Mevo that's in front of me shooting the tablet. So if I hop into the tablet, and I'm going to monitor my audio as well. So right now, what you're hearing from me is the audio coming from the blue microphone in front of me, right? So this is going from the microphone to a mixer to the 3.5 Mevo. What you're about to hear is what's coming out of the okay. So you'll notice that the sound is a little different, a little bit more tinny, a little bit more roomy, but that's just the characteristics of the microphone. However, you can absolutely plug an input into the cell phone using a TRRS connection. So that would be a connection. Let me see if I can show you this connection here. So that'd be something like this. If you can get a look at that. I think you can get. So it's one that has the 3 rings, and that will allow you to input from your mixer into the phone. Signal gets sent wirelessly to the camera, which then goes to your feed. So that would be the best way to do it that way with the Multicam app. All right, just checking, check 1, 2. Okay, so now we're kicked back over to the blue microphone. Thank you for that question. Okay, I'm frozen on Facebook. Oh no. I'm over here babbling. Looks like it corrected itself on Facebook on my end. Sorry if it's frozen for you. Yep, just a bunch of people chiming in. Hopefully that explanation came through. Hopefully someone will let me know if it didn't. Scenes would be a great feature, John. Yeah, I agree. What is the difference between Rtmp and Rtps? That's a question for Joe. I always forget the difference. I think Rtmps is supported, but I would X that on Thursday's show, Jack. So this is a question from Jack on YouTube. What is the difference between Rtmp and Rtmps? I don't remember, but that's a question. X Joe on Thursday. He's our network guy, and he'll be able to explain that a little bit more in depth than I can. Okay, Sam says, I have a feeling I know the answer to this. Okay, let's see. I'm wondering, will there be an option to use a siphon or mirror graphics from another source during a presentation? For example, using a ProPresenter as a source within the Mevo app. So yeah, so essentially what you're asking to is just, a lot of these questions are regarding bringing in other sources and things like that. That's something we are looking into, but it's not available at this time. Cool. And I lost my spot. Okay. Okay, Art from Facebook is saying, since Rtmp doesn't work on multicam, I've moved a start to the sound booth and used the 3.5. Any possibility of the Rtmp out to soundboard to control? So the same question as before. Yes, in multicam you can't use the device audio. And the reason is because it's basically a program that's using sources, and the cameras are the sources. The cameras are providing their audio sources as well. So that is something we are looking into to help fix, but the explanation I said before, the remote mic app works great. You can also do wireless lavs and send signal, line signal that way as well. So there's a couple of ways you can get through that. All right, Russell's saying hi. All right, hi, Russell. All right. All right, let's see here. I see a piano in the background. No, I don't have a secret talent. This is for when I do occasionally work with actual musicians. I can just find their keys. So a lot of questions going on about access points and communications. So for the access point, Jason is asking, the communication between the Mevos is still dependent on the cellular data. I thought the cameras just talk to each other at that point, allowing the access point to talk to the iPad. So yeah, the way it works is you would still rely on the data to make those connections, especially if you're streaming. That's where the data point will be. If you don't have LTE connected, well, if you're connecting it via the hotspot mode and you're doing, or the AP mode, and you're doing all three cameras, it's going to connect through your LTE data anyway. If you just set up the router as a Wi-Fi router and you just connect to it, I'm sure you could do that, but if you want to stream, you're not going to be able to. So, come on, he knows this stuff probably more than I do. All right. So John says, references to data plans, hotspots, etc. seems too confusing many people. The language is difficult with phones talking about hotspots as well. Yes, I agree. It's really just a matter of where the word hotspot comes in, right? Is it the Mevo hotspot or is the phone's mobile hotspot? I do agree the language is a little weird. So to clarify this hotspot question, here's how it works. If you are using the Mevo hotspot, the Mevo is sending out a Wi-Fi signal essentially, and the phone is connecting to it. Once they make that connection, the Mevo can then use the phone's LTE signal to stream. Now, that's not using the phone's mobile hotspot signal, so it's a little different. For example, if you have an unlimited data plan normally, but you have a 2 GB hotspot plan on your account, right? We're using the unlimited data. If you are sending out the signal using your mobile hotspot, and the Mevo is connected to that the same way it would connect to any other Wi-Fi, then at that point, yes, you're using your data plan for your mobile hotspot. So hopefully that clears that up a little bit. All right, cool. All right. They're still rolling in. So I'm just going to take a quick little break right here and just talk about some things that we have going on. All right. So, recommendations. So, one thing we want to do as far as our users are concerned is we want to help our users spread the Mevo love and reward them for it, right? So, our referral program, I mean, this thing has had members since the beginning. So, we've literally helped our users probably make thousands of dollars when you consider how many people have signed up for this. And we want to make sure that all of our users get to participate in this. So, here's how it works. Visit mevo.com/referrals. and mevo.com/refer. And what you could do is you can create your own custom code, and that will give your friends and your family 5% off of any Mevo purchase they make. And you can earn 5% commission on top of that based on their purchase. So you can get a friend or family discount and you'll earn a commission too on your end. So it's a great program if you haven't signed up for it yet, especially if you're watching these shows and you're participating and you don't have your own custom code. Get it, get it, definitely. All right, cool. So I just want to make sure we cover that. Let's throw my tag up. Why not? All right, cool. Let's dive right back into questions. Let's see how things are going. We're talking about the Yankees now. All right, let's go Yankees. So here's a question from Norman. Any possibility of Mevo devices being integrated into the Logitech Tap conference room devices in the future, so that now that we are part of Logitech? Honestly, Norman, that's a great question. I haven't heard anything about that, but it seems like a pretty awesome idea to connect the conferences. I mean, essentially in that aspect, though, you are just using the Mevo as a webcam, and so it would act the same way as it normally would. But connecting it to the actual devices would be pretty cool. But I'm sure that's in discussion, right? I mean, the whole reason why Logitech, works with or basically uses companies like Blue and Mevo and stuff like that is to expand, their catalog of ecosystem. They want all their devices to work together. So especially if you're like a gamer. So just to take a little side note, if you're a gamer, a lot of the stuff you're using is probably from Logitech, right? Their headsets, their keyboards, their mice, their speakers, they like to create ecosystems, and we're really happy to be part of them. If you were to adjust a pan on your mixer, would it show on all of your devices in levels in Multicam? Fred the Hippo asking the great questions, and let's find out, because I'm pretty sure it will. All right, so you should hear me on the left side, and I'm going to scroll through my angles, and I'm going to keep talking, and of course the pan stays there. So if you are listening in stereo, you should be hearing me on the right side now, and I'll pan through my angles again. And here we are. So absolutely, Fred, the pan does get reflected. A lot of things do. If you have augs or reverbs, and we can pull some of this up here. Let's see. All right, so now you should be hearing some type of effect on my voice. I wasn't sure which one I clicked, but it should be pretty reverby. So that's all coming from my audio mixer, and that'll all be sent to your stream through all angles. Cool. All right. Jack says, oh, no, he's just commenting on that. Cool. All right. So just to remind everyone, I mean, we're getting a lot of conversation today, which is great. Just to remind everybody, we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch at Mevo Camera. Jason Hoffman getting a lot of congratulatory comments today. Keeping up the good work from Jai. All right, still waiting for a remove all options for overlays. Okay, so you're just talking about just a fail-safe, right? Just get rid of all graphics. It's not a bad idea, Brian, from Associate Brian on Facebook. Not a bad idea. I like that. And I bet you Will likes that too, for sure. All right. Jack is asking, what is the difference between a line out and the headphone out on the mixer? And what would be the better connected Mevo? So if your mixer says line out, it is the exact same thing as your headphone out, okay? If your system says monitor out, that's a little different because generally that's looking to go to a speaker source, not an actual line signal. So the difference is mic signals, line signals, they have just different, how can I explain this simply? It's just one's plus 4 dB, one's negative 10 dB. So they just come in at different ranges and they do different things. Line inputs are generally stereo inputs. Mic inputs are generally mono inputs. Outputs to speakers, like your monitor outputs, are generally mono. So you need a left and right, so you need two cables. For example, what I'm doing today is I'm coming out of the headphone of my mixer because it's one cable. So I get a stereo cable straight out of the headphones directly into the Mevo, and I'm good to go. If you have an auxiliary output, I should mention this as well. Auxiliary outputs are great because they allow you to have a different mix going to the broadcast than what is actually being shown live. So to give this an example, let's say you are doing some type of church setting, right? A lot of our users are in church settings. You can have a house band and the speaker all going to the house and have that sound the way you want it through your mixing board. But let's say that's too overdriven or things are not really mixed that well on the feed itself, or you can't really hear things. If you're sending signal out of your augs on your board, you can adjust those levels independently as well. Meaning that, let's say the music's overpowering whoever's speaking, But on the feed, you can turn that speaker up, turn that music down, and now the people listening at home have a much better mix. So if you are doing any type of performance, stage, things like that, you're going to want to incorporate an audio mixer just to take your production to that next level audio wise. But thank you. It's a great question. It's a great call out, and it gives me a chance to talk audio, which I love to do. All right. Yeah, a lot of people saying, all right, Norman's saying it would be cool to use Mevo Logitech capture software together. That'd be great. That would be pretty cool. So Fred the Hippo saying, what about an XLR output from the mixer to an adapter to the 3.5 import of the Mevo? That will work. Especially, it'll give you likely a mono signal. Technically, XLR can carry stereo, but it's likely that the output you're coming from is not a stereo output from the XLR. It's likely a mono output. But yeah, that should work. That should absolutely work. You just might have to adjust your levels differently than you would coming from the headphone output. I'm sorry, I'm reading questions. That was for Fred the Hippo. Great. All right, so David is chiming in with a really good question. So he's saying, would there be any improvement to connect by Ethernet cable through the PoE adapter from one of the 3 Mevos to our Eero Pro? Okay, while keeping the other cameras wireless, for that matter, by connecting one camera by Ethernet cable, brand new iPad Pro with the M1 chip. What we using to run Multicam App? What would any of these changes do? I mean, if you could connect all of the cameras through Ethernet, that would be better. But for example, it won't do much. I mean, it depends on your signal, right? So for example, the camera I'm speaking to right here is Ethernet connected to that exact Eero router actually. That my secondary cam up here, this is connected through Ethernet as well. This cam here is actually connected to the Wi-Fi of that same router. So, there's really no difference in here. Everything's pretty close. The only obstacles you would run into would be Wi-Fi interference at that point. That would really be the only difference. Cool. And let me kick back to here. Okay. Oh, let's go to here. This one? Yeah. Okay. So Fred the Hippo just says, I just switched from using my Scarlett interface to using the headphone jack from my mixer to the 3.5 port. Yeah, works great. Yeah, that would be the #1 way to go. It's just the simplest, easiest. It's one cable. Generally there's one volume control, so you can just you control everything on the feed separately from the headphone mix, and you don't have to worry about changing things in your house mix. Great. Okay. Jai says we need a Mevo Zoom camera. Maybe you can expand on that, Jai. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Leo is chiming in on YouTube. He's saying, I've had Logitech sign in, but it doesn't work for the Mevo referral program. So Leo, your referral question, open up a ticket with us. So if I can't answer a question here live, let me just mention this now. Go to help.mevo.com and open up a ticket with us there. And there we can kind of dig a little deeper. So Leo, for your question about the Logitech sign-in, that's something I can solve right now. But definitely send us in a ticket and we can look into that. Oh, John's come in with a request. He's seen a request. I've seen a request for clear output screen for local monitoring, no overlays, etc. Just something that shows the final stream. Any chances that might come at some point? So are you talking about having like a separate monitoring where it's just this is your final stream and then you have, so basically studio mode if you were using OBS, having 2 monitoring streams, what's coming up, what's the final? It's a great idea. I love it. But now we're talking how, what are we doing about real estate? Because a lot of these multicam apps are being used on cell phones or tablets. I have this Tab at 7, which is probably one of the better tablets that you could use this on. And even this, I mean, I'm kind of running out of real estate when it comes to picking scenes. So really that might just be a matter of you have to have 2 previews. So you're going to need a device that can run both previews. You're going to need real estate for both cameras or both views. But I think it's a great idea. Maybe a separate window or something like that. Yeah, I mean, our developers definitely watch the show, so maybe that's something they can work on. Okay, so Jose Rivera has a great question. He's saying, can you use Restream with the Multicam app? Well, good news, Jose. That's exactly what I'm doing today. So what I'm doing is I'm sending Rtmp, from the Multicam app to our Restream account, and that's what's restreaming us to YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook Live. So yes. Okay, so John's saying the experience on Twitch is not great, doesn't have the same community sense. I mean, I'm sure that people would argue with you, John, on that. I mean, I guess it depends on who you're connecting with there, because, you know, Twitch is pretty massive. They got a pretty massive community. So let's see. So John's just asking, I mean, maybe you guys can help. I mean, looks like Jason's already on it. You guys can help John here out on YouTube. He's just asking, you know, for suggestions on where to stream. I mean, really, it's up to you. I mean, depending on your content. I know if you're a gamer, you're likely to go to Twitch first. If you're doing any type of cooking show or something like that, we see a lot of those. Those are generally on YouTube, so it really kind of depends on your content. You can really go anywhere, though. I mean, or you can just go everywhere. Like, that's what we're doing today. So we're broadcasting to Facebook, Mevo, and Twitch, and we're not discriminating against either of them. So the more views, the better, right? Cool. Okay, so we have a question on YouTube. Says the Mevo mic app works with Android or not? It absolutely does. I actually did an example of it earlier on an Android phone. So yes. So David Massey says from Facebook, is there a cost for connecting the Rtmp to Restream? There is, depending on, but there's levels to it. I believe the first level's free, where you can restream to one account, and maybe if you want multiple accounts, you have to pay. I don't know the exacts on that. Save that question for Joe. He's the one who set it up. So he'll be here Thursday. Good question for him. Cool. Yeah, a lot of people. Jason Hoffman is getting a ton of followers from this. He really, yeah. I mean, I can't support it enough. He does great videos, explains everything well. So go, Jason. Is there a POS switch you recommend? I don't really have recommendations. I would just go, you know, with switches and stuff like that, go with reviews. I stick with Netgear just because they're tried and true. They've been around forever. They kind of started the game with switches and routers and stuff like that. So yeah, stick with Netgear maybe. But, you know, this all depends. Stick within your budget, what's available to you. Take a look at how many ports you need, how many of those ports need to be PoE. So there's a couple questions you can ask yourself there. All right, so it looks like we are caught up on the questions for today so far. Thank you for that. That was awesome, guys. So I'm going to take a minute and see what else we have going on. Okay, let's do a little recap. So today is Ask Mevo Anything, if you haven't already figured that out. But if you are new to us, or if this is your first time viewing one of our shows, on Tuesdays, we do Ask Mevo Anything, where we answer your questions live on the show. We are streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch at Mevo Camera. And then on Thursdays, we do a little bit more with the Mevo Live show. So on Thursdays, we try and get 2, sometimes 3 technical specialists on the show. We definitely answer questions live. I mean, that's a huge portion of our show. But we also have a couple other things going on as far as giveaways and just different examples of how to use the Mevo. So speaking of giveaways, let's take a look at it. So the Mevo Start giveaway is going to be drawn twice a month, so bi-weekly, and the only way to enter is just participate in our shows, which, you know, we've been doing great today with participation. Get your name in, and when we do the spinner, your name will have more raffles in it. So essentially, the more you participate, consider that a raffle ticket. So we do our drawings bi-weekly. We are doing one this Thursday, so definitely tune into our Thursday show, and that will be with Joe and Will. Can't wait for it. And you can win more than once. So if you're, you know, stick with us for a while, you know, every couple of months you might have a chance to win a Mevo Start on your own. You can't win twice in the same month, of course, but because we're trying to spread the Mevo out a little bit more. All right. Cool. So let's dive back into some questions here. And again, if you have questions, post them in the comments. All right. So a YouTube question here says, my old Mevo is not connecting with my Mevo Start in Multicam. Okay, so assuming that your Mevo Start is coming up, but the Mevo Plus or first gen is not, it absolutely should. So a couple of things you want to check here. How are you connecting the Plus to the network? Are they on the same network? Is everything connected to the same router, hotspot, whatever you're using? The next thing I would do is just make sure you can connect to that plus in the Mevo 2.0 app. So if you can connect in the Mevo 2.0 app and everything's working fine, great. If not, that'll give us reason to believe that maybe there's something going on with the camera. Maybe it needs to be rebooted. So what you can do there then is hold the power button on the Mevo Plus for 30 seconds, and this will reboot the Mevo Plus, and then you can try to connect again from there. Okay. John on Twitch saying studio mode is a good analogy. Yeah, so like an OBS, so obviously you might be familiar with that. I think it is a great analogy, but there's a lot that goes into that. So that's. I mean, I'm not the technical. I am the technical specialist. I'm not the developer, so I can't tell you how much more CPU usage that would use, but I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it. Okay, ballooning on Mars. I love it. If the developers are watching, why can the Mevo not send out imagery and record to RAW to the SSD card at the same time? Well, that seems just more like it would have to be a setting algorithm that we would have to set up. I mean, I can definitely bring that up with our team. I think it's a good suggestion for sure. Thank you for that. I'm bothered by the camera placement from above. Suggestions, how about mounted eye level? Okay, so I guess, are we referring to this guy? This one right here, the second one? Yeah, I wish I could, but this is literally at the cusp of where the top of my monitor is right now. So I don't really have a better position for that. And also, this is my example camera, just to show you guys that you can use multicam. I mean, let's go. This one's a little bit better, right? This one a little bit better. All right. Cool. Ryan says, I'm ready to win that Mevo start. Ryan, you're going to have to catch up to some of these guys, these guys and gals. Tom says, thanks for doing the show. Is there a plan on making it possible to use the Mevo in Zoom with a smartphone without the PC? Okay, so let's clarify this question. You want to get into a Zoom meeting, and you want to have your Mevo connected and use that as a webcam for your Zoom on your phone. Not right now. It's not in the works that I know of. I love the idea, but I feel like there's a lot that goes into that too, considering Zoom is a client, is a conferencing platform. It's not like Twitch or YouTube where you can just Rtmp to it. So that, that there would have to be a little bit more done on their end, honestly, to make that happen. Let's see. Fred the Hippo, can I stream the Multicam app into OBS? Fred, this is a great question. There is a way to do it. It's a little complicated, and if you're doing multiple cameras with OBS, you're probably better off just going cameras straight into OBS and skipping the Multicam app. I get that it would be great to have the control, on the app, but there's a couple of different ways around that as well. I know Stream Deck makes an app that you can control your sources, so you can always download something like that and just control your OBS sources from your iPad. But the real way to go about that would be to go NDI or wireless webcam, wired webcam, have those sources come into OBS, and then just control it from there. You can go through Rtmp. We actually have an article about it. So if you go to help.mevo.com, multicam OBS, just type that in, and you'll see the article there. You do have to create your own Rtmp server and stuff like that to get that to work. Oh, Dave's okay. Dave, I thought you were talking about my setup here. If you guys want me to change my setup, I'll change my setup. Yeah, so Fred the Hippo. So how does Rtmp go to my computer? So yeah, check it out. Help.mevo.com. Just type in multicam OBS as the keywords. It'll be the first article that pops up, and Will breaks it down there. Really nice. You guys never try Mevo with Wirecast through NDI. I have not really messed around with Wirecast too much, Jose. I don't see why it would matter. So basically, if Wirecast, Google Meets, Zoom, Ecamm, whatever platform you're using, if they take NDI input, the Mevo should work. There should be no reason why it doesn't. So if they're NDI 5 compatible or NDI HX compatible, which I'm pretty sure they all are at this point. Skype has some cool NDI features. There should be no reason for that not to work. Okay, David says inner church setting mounted on top of a mic stand, flexible camera mount. I see you can flip them out. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, just find your best angle. Here's some tip, Dave. So Dave's trying to find his best angle. It sounds like he has a high angle. Maybe it's not the most flattering angle. What I would do is, we recommend, especially if you have to zoom or anything like that, just find the frame that fits the Mevo as all the way zoomed out. So just full crop. Find the best frame there, and then just work your angles around there. You know, table stands, things like this, always work. So if you have like a table with a pulpit or something like that, and you can get the camera a little bit closer, maybe you can get a little bit more of a close-up angle. I mean, there's a number of different things you can do there. I'm babbling about angles. Leo, is there any hope for the developers to allow us to organize graphics easier? Folders, etc. Leo, listen, we've heard that for sure. So yes, there is. It's definitely something that we want to look into. It's just there's a million things that we're trying to look into right now. So it's just a matter of priority and where it lands. But it's not something that we are like dismissing in any way. You know, these updates are coming as fast as they can. The dev team is doing an amazing job just balancing maintenance stuff and innovative stuff, right? So some of the stuff I've seen already, I think you guys are really gonna like. Nothing I can talk about on the show, but some things I've seen are pretty amazing, and they're kind of solve a lot of the problems and scenarios that we run into on these shows. All right, cool. This is great. So with that being said, guys, I am going to call it a show today. It looks like the questions have slowed down a bit. So again, before I leave, let's talk about it. We have the referral program, mevo.com/referral. Literally thousands of dollars have been saved and earned using this referral program. So if you're not using it, why not? If you're a Mevo customer and you have Mevo and you tell your friends all the time about how cool the cameras are, make a little money on the side from it. I love it. Of course, our show is Tuesdays and Thursdays, 2 p.m. Eastern. Here you see youtube.com, but we also are on Facebook and Twitch at Mevo Camera. And then, of course, this Thursday, we're going to be talking about the Mevo Live, the Mevo Start giveaway, and again, how to enter, participating in the shows. Can't stress that enough. Okay, so we're going to go to, not that scene, this one. So we're going to answer one last question, and then we're going to shut it down for today. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for being Mevo users and being part of our community. We definitely appreciate it. So Vince is coming in on YouTube. He says, I've been using the Mevo Plus with a boost. Can I incorporate the Plus with the 3-pack when live streaming, basically making it a 4-camera stream? Not with the Multicam app. So the Multicam app is limited to 3 cameras at this time, but you can absolutely use your Plus along with 2 other starts. So if you do get the 3-pack, you can mix and match what cameras you want to use. The Plus does have some advantages, so if you do want to use that. If you do want to use all 4, that's when you incorporate something like OBS or Streamlabs OBS or vMix, one of those broadcasting systems. And honestly, Vince, you're in a great spot to ask that question. A lot of our users, especially the ones that are on this chat, do that. Also, if anyone's watching this, I definitely recommend join our customer group on Facebook. It is filled with tons of users that, you know, come up with all sorts of creative ways to use the Mevos. A lot of scenarios that you may run into yourself, they've probably already run into. So it's a great source for information. So with that being said, I want to wish everyone a great afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you are, and we will see you next time. Thanks for joining.